There's a place on our planet where no human eye has truly witnessed life in its natural state, a universe of crushing darkness that begins just miles from our beaches. The deep ocean. While we've planted flags on the moon and sent robots to Mars, over 95% of our own ocean remains unexplored, unmapped, and deeply misunderstood. What lurks in those depths challenges everything we thought we knew about survival, about evolution, about life itself. At the ocean's surface, life explodes in abundance. Sunlight penetrates the waves, feeding microscopic algae that bloom by the billions. These tiny organisms become food for small fish, which feed larger fish, which sustain dolphins, sharks, and the giants of the sea. This is the world we know, the world we swim in, the world that feels alive. But beneath our feet, something changes. Drop just 200 meters below the surface, and sunlight begins its retreat. We've entered the Twilight Zone, stretching down nearly a full kilometer. Here, light exists, but barely. Too weak for plants to survive. Too dim for the familiar rhythms of day and night. The green forests of algae that fuel surface life simply vanish. What remains is a gentle, eternal snowfall. Not water turning to ice, but something stranger. Fragments of waste, pieces of dead organisms, microscopic particles drifting downward in an endless cascade. Scientists named it marine snow. It looks like nothing, but in this twilight realm, it means everything. And where food falls, hunters wait. The creatures here have evolved into forms that seem impossible. Many have turned themselves into living glass. The glass squid floats through the blue void, its internal organs barely visible through crystalline skin. The ocean's depths hold secrets that will blow your mind. Are you ready to face these terrifying truths? Deep Sea Lab unlocks the doors that have never been opened before. If you're ready to dive into the unknown, hit that subscribe button and join our underwater journey. Glass octopus is nearly invisible entirely. Nothing but two dark eyes suspended in water. Why transparency? Perhaps it's the ultimate camouflage in a world of fading light. Or maybe in a place where energy is precious. Even the cost of producing color in your skin is too high. Either way, these animals have become ghosts. But not all creatures choose invisibility. Some do the opposite. They create light. Through a chemical process called bioluminescence, animals in the Twilight Zone manufacture their own glow. Flashing patterns, pulsing organs, entire bodies that shimmer like stars. To us, it's beautiful. To them, it's survival. The firefly squid uses light in the most clever way imaginable. From below, predators can see its dark silhouette against the faint glow of the surface. So, the squid covers its belly with light-producing cells, adjusting the brightness to match the light above. Its shadow disappears. The squid becomes invisible not by hiding, but by perfectly imitating the world around it. Others use light in darker ways. The bloody belly comb jelly glows deep red, a color that never reaches these depths naturally. To every other animal here, red appears as pure black. Inside its stomach, glowing prey continues to shine, but the red jelly hides that light completely, concealing its last meal from anything that might want to steal it. But the Twilight Zone's greatest mystery isn't what lives here. It's what happens every single night. As darkness falls at the surface, something extraordinary begins. Billions upon billions of creatures start rising from the depths. Lanternfish, squid, jellyfish, shrimp, an army of life, climbing toward the surface to feast on plankton, under the cover of darkness. When dawn approaches, they descend again, vanishing back into the gloom. This is the Dial vertical migration, the largest movement of life on Earth. Greater than the wildebeest migration, greater than the monarch butterfly journey, greater than any visible migration we've ever documented. And yet, we didn't know it existed until World War II, when naval sonar operators detected a mysterious layer that seemed to be a false ocean floor, one that rose at night and sank at dawn. It wasn't the bottom of the sea. It was life itself, moving as one. The Twilight Zone is where the rules begin to break, where transparency becomes armor, where light is weaponized, where billions move past 1 kilometer, the last traces of sunlight die completely. We've reached the midnight zone, plunging down to 4,000 meters. Here, there is no morning, no evening, only a darkness that has existed since before humans walked the earth. The temperature hovers just above freezing. The pressure would crush a human instantly, hundreds of times greater than what we experience on land. This should be a dead zone, a place too hostile for life. Instead, it's where evolution becomes an artist. The dragonfish is a perfect example. Unlike most deep-sea creatures, it produces red bioluminescence, a color invisible to nearly every other animal in these depths. It's like having a flashlight that only you can see. The dragonfish hunts in this private light, illuminating prey that have no idea they've been spotted. Even stranger, its eyes have evolved to detect this secret color, giving it a vision system unlike anything else in the ocean. Other predators here have mastered a different kind of disappearance. Some fish have evolved ultra-black skin, so efficient at absorbing light that it reflects less than 0.5% of what hits it. Even when a submarine spotlight shines directly on them, they remain nearly invisible, like living black holes in the water. And then there's the anglerfish. The female anglerfish dangles a glowing lure in front of her massive jaws, drawing curious prey close enough to strike. But her reproduction strategy is what truly defies belief. Male anglerfish are born tiny and weak, with one purpose: find a female in the vast, pitch-black ocean. When he finally locates one, he bites into her skin and refuses to let go. His body begins to fuse with hers. His organs deteriorate, his eyes disappear. Eventually, he becomes nothing more than a living sac of reproductive cells, permanently attached to the female, nourished by her bloodstream. It's one of nature's most extreme solutions to the problem of finding a mate in an impossible environment. Not everything here is a hunter. Some are patient scavengers, waiting for fortune to fall from above. When a whale dies at the surface and sinks to these depths, it becomes an oasis. A single carcass can feed entire communities for decades, attracting species that exist nowhere else, that feed on nothing but the occasional gift of death from above. Despite our technology, despite our submarines and robots, the Midnight Zone remains largely unknown. Scientists estimate that for every species we've documented, dozens more remain undiscovered. Each dive brings back creatures never before seen. Animals with glowing eyes, needle-thin teeth, bodies so delicate they fall apart when brought to the surface. This is the Midnight Zone, where light is a weapon, where black is camouflage, where even love takes forms we struggle to comprehend. But we haven't reached the bottom yet. At 4,000 meters, we finally touch down. This is the Abyssal Plain, one of the largest habitats on our planet, covering more than half of Earth's surface. And yet, it remains one of the most mysterious places we've ever encountered. There are no mountains here, no coral reefs, no forests of kelp swaying in currents, just an endless desert of fine sediment, stretching for thousands of kilometers in every direction. The temperature never rises above 4 degrees Celsius. Food is scarce. Life here moves at a different pace entirely. One of the strangest adaptations is size. Many creatures in the abyss are giants compared to their shallow water relatives. Giant isopods, looking like massive pill bugs, can grow as large as small dogs. Amphipods, normally the size of rice grains, can reach the length of a human hand. Even the colossal squid, one of the largest invertebrates alive, prowls these depths with eyes the size of dinner plates. Scientists call it deep-sea gigantism, and we still don't fully understand why it happens. Some think larger bodies conserve energy better in the cold. Others believe size offers protection from the few predators that exist here. The truth is, we're still guessing. When food does arrive, it arrives in spectacular fashion. A dead whale sinking from the surface creates a feeding frenzy. Within hours, sleeper sharks and hagfish arrive, tearing into the flesh. Swarms of amphipods follow, stripping meat from bone. Then come the specialists. Zombie worms, strange creatures with no mouth and no stomach, colonize the skeleton itself. They burrow into the bones, releasing acids to dissolve the minerals and extract the oils trapped inside. An entire ecosystem springs up around a single whale fall, lasting for decades until nothing remains but dust scattered across the seafloor. Other animals survive on far less. The vampire squid, despite its ominous name, isn't a predator at all. It drifts through the darkness, extending long, sticky filaments to catch marine snow, feeding on the ocean's leftovers. Its blood contains a special pigment with the highest oxygen-carrying capacity of any known cephalopod, allowing it to survive in waters where other animals would suffocate. Life in the abyss is patient. Growth is slow. Reproduction is rare. Some creatures here live for centuries. The Greenland shark, which occasionally ventures into these depths, may live over 400 years, making it the longest-lived vertebrate we know of. Time itself seems to move differently down here. And yet, the abyss is not empty. Every handful of sediment contains millions of microbes, invisible architects recycling nutrients and sustaining food webs we're only beginning to understand. The Abyssal Plains are a reminder of Earth's true scale, vast territories that dwarf our forests and deserts, yet remain almost entirely unexplored. But there's still one more frontier, one final descent into a place we were never meant to reach. Beyond the Abyssal Plains lie the trenches, massive cracks carved by the slow collision of tectonic plates. One plate slides beneath another, dragging the ocean floor down into depths that seem impossible. This is the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. It stretches from 6,000 meters down to nearly 11,000 meters at the deepest point, the Mariana Trench. To put that in perspective, if you dropped Mount Everest into this trench, its peak would still be over a mile underwater. The conditions here are beyond extreme. Temperatures hover near freezing. The pressure exceeds 1,000 times what we experience at sea level. A single drop of this pressure would instantly crush a human body. This should be the definition of uninhabitable. And yet, life persists. The snailfish holds the record as the deepest living vertebrate ever discovered. It looks impossibly fragile, with translucent skin and a body that seems too delicate to exist. But beneath that fragile appearance is sophisticated biology. Its cells produce special molecules that protect proteins from collapsing under pressure. Its bones are soft and flexible rather than rigid. It has evolved to thrive where nothing else can. Amphipods swarm across the trench floor in massive numbers, feeding on whatever organic matter drifts down. Recent expeditions found something disturbing inside these creatures: plastic fibers. Microplastics have reached even the deepest point on Earth. A sobering reminder that no place remains untouched by human activity. Along the walls of some trenches, something even stranger occurs. Hydrothermal vents spew superheated water filled with toxic chemicals: hydrogen sulfide, methane, dissolved metals. Nothing should survive here. And yet, entire communities thrive. Microbes feed on these chemicals directly, converting toxic compounds into energy without ever needing sunlight. Tube worms, some growing over 2 meters long, host these bacteria in their bodies. Giant clams and crabs cluster around the vents, all sustained by chemistry rather than photosynthesis. It's a food web based on poison, showing us that life can exist in conditions we once thought impossible. These discoveries have profound implications. If life can adapt to such extremes here, could it exist on other worlds? Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus both hide vast oceans beneath their icy surfaces, warmed not by the sun, but by internal heat. To study the Hadal zone is to glimpse what might be possible in alien seas. Yet despite its importance, we know almost nothing about the trenches. Will we protect these hidden realms? Will we explore them with respect? Or will we treat them as we've treated so much of our world, taking before we understand what we're losing? The deep sea doesn't need us, but perhaps we need it. A reminder that wonder still exists, that discovery never ends, that our planet, after all these centuries, can still surprise us. The darkness holds answers. We just have to be brave enough to look.